All right, so this is going to be the last of your recorded lectures when we're back together 5 days a week. I will lecture in class and we'll discuss. Okay, so again, I'm going to try to model what we would discuss. This is kind of a tough unit. For a lot of people, it's pretty abstract to talk about molecules inside of organisms sometimes. So we've just covered ecosystem energy and ecosystem interactions and interdependence, that nature is messy. We're dealing with energy and matter as far as just unit 2. Then we're going to go into this molecular unit, okay, and talk about biochemical reactions that are happening inside of organisms, regardless of what type of organism it is. So plants, animals, protists, fungus, and bacteria, okay, are all going to have are all types of organisms, and they're going to have biochemical reactions taking place inside the bodies, okay? So in your properties of water notes, matter cycles notes, all of that, the 4 types of macromolecules are listed. Okay, so I listed them again here: carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins. We'll see these as we go through the PowerPoint, okay? If you don't know the prefix macro, it means big, huge, giant, okay? Pick a word that means large, right? And so we're going to deal with these 4 types of large molecules, okay? Each type of large molecule, I'm going to slide this up just a tiny bit to start, okay, is going to be made of many smaller molecules that are called monomers, right? So the prefix mono means one. So these are single small molecules. They are all carbon-based, which means that they are organic, right? So again, going back to vocabulary we've already learned. Polymers, we're going to build polymers from monomers. When we build polymers from monomers inside the bodies of organisms, and I'm saying we because we're going to do this inside our bodies all day long, every day, okay? We're building polymers, we're breaking them down. And so that being said, a lot of what we're going to couch, or how we're going to couch this, is kind of thinking about ourselves a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so in this case, poly is going to mean 2 or more. It can mean many, okay, but we're going to have different meanings depending on exactly what we're talking about. So this is when we have large molecules that are built by combining monomers. I'm going to pause for just a second. All right, so the next section, how do organisms build polymers inside the body? Okay, so it says this occurs through a process that's known as condensation or dehydration synthesis, 2 terms for the same thing. Kind of like we've got 2 terms for autotroph and producer. Those are interchangeable. Okay, so same thing here as far as interchangeable terminology. So condensation, I wrote a couple things over here that maybe make you think of condensation: water on the grass in the morning when dew has formed after condenses overnight, condensation on windows, or even if you've ever breathed on a mirror and fogged the mirror, that's condensation. When rain falls from clouds, it's falling from clouds where water has become condensed within that cloud, okay? Dehydration, hopefully hydro, we hopefully know that that means, let me write that out here, hydro deals with water, okay, which we already dealt with the hydrosphere and the water cycle. When we say something is dehydrated, it means it lacks water, right? So I would write that down too, okay? Then synthesis. You may not know this word, but we're going to use this word all year long, okay? So synthesize means to produce or to make, right? And we're going to see it a lot, okay? Such as in photosynthesis, right? So polymers are going to be synthesized or produced when a hydrogen ion and a hydroxide ion are removed from 2 different monomers. They're going to form a water molecule, that hydrogen and that hydroxide, okay? They're going to join to form that water, and that's going to connect the 2 monomers with a bond, right? I know that might seem kind of tricky, and you're thinking, I have no clue what this means, right? We're going to talk about it more with some pictures in a minute. Then also in the bodies of organisms, polymers are being broken down, okay? This is going to occur through a process that's known as hydrolysis. Notice you've got the prefix hydro there again, which means water, and lysis means to break apart. Okay, so all of these things that I am writing, I would definitely write down in your own notes. I would make you do it in class. Whoops, I didn't scoot that up. All right, so what's going to happen in hydrolysis? This is when a water molecule is going to be added to a bond in a polymer, and it's going to break the polymer into monomers. Okay, you are doing this all day long when you've got food that you are digesting. Okay, So it's, you know, as far as when we have class, it's in the morning, you've hopefully eaten breakfast, okay? And so as you break down, let's just say you eat a bowl of cereal, right? As you break down that cereal, you are going to have water that's going to get added into those big polymers, and it's going to be, it's going to have enzymes that are dissolved in that water, okay? And so enzymes that we've already talked a little bit about back in the importance of water notes. Enzymes are going to be dissolved in water, okay? We'll talk more about what they are. Those are going to work together with the water to break polymers into monomers by adding water into the bond and breaking that apart, okay? It says the stored energy then is released when these bonds are broken and is used to power daily functions, such as movement, growing, reproduction, okay? Whatever it is you do all day long, right? I'm going to pause for a second. All right, so now notice at the top you've got dehydration synthesis, which is also known as condensation, and then down at the bottom you've got hydrolysis, right? So these are being shown as two different monomers, two different colors, right? They are going to join by the removal of the H from monomer 2 and the OH from monomer 1. Those blue OHs and Hs are going to join together to make this little water molecule, and then the monomers are going to be linked specifically by a covalent bond. We're not going to be super worried about that for our purposes, okay? So every time a polymer is built from monomers, you kind of, in your mind, picture a little water molecule falling out, okay, to produce that monomer. Hydrolysis, what's going to happen? Again, we're going to talk about enzymes more, but just in the context of water, water is going to get added to this bond right here, which is what we're seeing here. The OH is going to go onto one monomer, the H onto the other monomer, and that's breaking that bond and breaking that polymer into two individual monomers. All right, so on the board, you have got 4 different generic monomers. They could be monomers of carbohydrates, of lipids, of nucleic acids, or of proteins. Does not matter what they are. They happen to be in the sequence that you can see there on the board, okay? We could switch that sequence around, and we'll talk about that as far as taking a few monomers and building many polymers in nature. Okay, we'll get there in a little bit. What you can see on each of these is that there's an OH, okay, at the left side of each of those monomers, and then an H at the right side. Okay, so I'm going to pause again. All right, so I'm going to hop up, and then I'm going to be in the shot, and you're going to see my back some. Okay, and hopefully I'm going to do this as well as I can. Okay, so we're going to now take these individual monomers and we're going to make polymers, okay, or make a polymer, right? So again, we're just imagining, and these are magnets, so you just kind of have to bear with me, that when in the body of organisms, when 2 monomers are joining, an OH is removed from one and an H from the other, and a bond is formed, okay? Condensation, water is formed, this was dehydrated, this water molecule was synthesized, this polymer was synthesized, okay? We're going to build a bigger polymer, right? Water molecule comes out just like that again, okay? So now we've synthesized 2 water molecules, we've synthesized a bigger polymer, right? Condensation, forming water, okay? Again, and obviously this is not going to happen bond by bond in the bodies of organisms, but on the board with paper magnets, that's kind of what we got to deal with here. Okay, so then we made a 3rd bond, 3rd molecule of water came out. Condensation again, or dehydration synthesis. We dehydrated that bond, or that, the bond between those monomers, and we synthesized that water molecule, but we've synthesized this whole polymer as well. Okay, so notice we've got 4 monomers, we've got 3 water molecules, we have 3 bonds from which those water molecules were released. Okay, so we've taken 3 individual monomers, we've built a polymer, right? Our polymer has, 4 individual monomers, we've built a polymer. We have 3 bonds, 3 molecules of water. So you always have 1 fewer water molecules than you do the number of polymers. 1 fewer bonds, or not, sorry, 1 fewer water molecules than the number of monomers within the polymer, right? Notice you have 1 fewer bonds than the number of monomers as well, okay? Let me pause again. All right, so excuse the valve. All right, so condensation or dehydration synthesis built this polymer. Okay, so now we're going to go through the process of hydrolysis. Again, hydro means water, lysis means to break apart. Okay, so when this water molecule is added into the bond here, it breaks that bond, right, and turns that into a single monomer. At the same time, is happening with all of these other bonds, breaking this polymer into individual monomers through the process of hydrolysis. We broke apart the polymer up here on the board using water, the hydro part. Okay, again, lysis to break apart, right? Hydro means water. Okay, let me pause again. All right, so I could take those 4 individual monomers and I could switch those around in different orders, and we could make another, handful of polymers, okay, with the same 4 monomers. We could use only 3 of those. We could remove the pink one, let's say. And if we remove the pink one and we only have these other 3 to work with, then that's going to give us a different polymer, or several different polymers we could build. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as far as variation in nature. Again, just wanted to kind of show that we could pull one out. We could pull the yellow one out instead of the pink one, and that's going to help our bodies as organisms of any type to build many different polymers from essentially only a few monomers in nature. Let me pause again. Okay, so I think for this video, this is all I probably need to say right now. I'm going to break the others into the different types of polymers, okay, carbohydrates or macromolecules, I should say, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins. Let me know if you have any questions.